You're listening to Brandon Sports Talk, interviewing professional athletes and Paralympians and Olympians. And now for your professional athlete interview and your host, Brandon P.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Carolina Cobras NAL's indoor arena football, national arena football player, Justin Arthur. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to play professional football?
Yeah, so I was someone who kind of got a late start into liking football compared to a lot of other people you probably talk to. So I actually kind of grew up playing soccer and basketball and baseball, all those kind of sports. And then I started watching football in like sixth or seventh grade with my dad and with Brett Favre playing for the Minnesota Vikings and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, hey, I like that. And then Tim Tebow playing, even though I grew up a Georgia fan, like watching Tim Tebow play and things like that. I'm like, hold on, I kind of like this quarterbacking thing. I like this football thing. Let me go search on YouTube or all this other kind of stuff. You go throw out in the yard with my dad and teach myself how to play football. And so kind of got the late start into the game. It's starting in like seventh grade, playing on my first ever team, things like that. And it's been a progression from there. But yeah, no, I kind of always knew from that point where when I saw like Brett Favre play or Tim Tebow or all these guys playing in the NFL that then I would look up to. Um, I always knew I wanted to be the same guy as that. Like I envisioned myself on TV playing for the Minnesota Vikings or playing for my hometown Atlanta Falcons or I mean, at some point ending up with a gold jacket too. So it's just one of those things where I've always looked at it as, hey, I want to be that guy.
What was that experience like for you going to college at Texas Wesleyan and getting to play college football?
Yeah, mine was a very different experience. So my college football program didn't have a college football program before I went there. So or they did, but they had one in 1941 was the last time they had that. So the team captain of the team back in 1941 went to go fight off in World War II after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and then the team shut down, and the team captain went off to go fight, and he's like, "Hey, let's go fight." That obviously program gets shut down after that. And then they never had a program for 75 years. So come back to 2016, I'm graduating from high school. I had a lot of bigger offers that didn't necessarily go through because I had injuries my senior year, things like that that kind of pulled those things away. So I was always looking for another school to go to and go play college football. And Texas Wesleyan was starting up a football. Excuse me, Texas Wesleyan was starting up a football program. And so I was like, hey, let's go there. They have a nice business accreditation too for the academic side of it. And it's a chance to go build a program like I was probably going to go do at UAB with their restart up at the program. So went there and obviously went from starter to scout team to back to starter. And over the course of my 4.5 years of college, but no, I wouldn't trade any of it. So it was the greatest feeling in the world to go be a Texas Wesleyan Ram and be one of the first 75 guys to restart that football program.
What was that feeling like getting to put on that uniform for Texas West?
It was it was a strong feeling. It was a very proud moment for me because I was there like growing a program from nothing. Like I remember showing up. Obviously, we had signed like scholarships to play football there. But when I was a freshman coming into college, like I thought the experience would be, oh, okay, we're gonna play football that year. We're gonna lift weights and do all the football things that we typically do. Like I remember showing up and we were actually having to carry weights into the new weight room we were building and build things in the weight room so we could lift weights. And we didn't even play football in 2016, and everybody redshirted. And we didn't even touch the football field until spring football of 2017. So obviously that next semester, but yeah, it was crazy because that first year we really didn't play football. And it was just kind of an opportunity of like, hey, we've built this. Us 75 guys have built this with the coaches, and now it's time to go play in the fall of 2017. So being able to put that jersey on for the first time and being on college game day as a little side note, saying that Texas Wesleyan is playing their first ever game since 1941 today up in Kansas. And that was a great feeling. The game didn't go too well, but it was nice to be able to put that first jersey on and be a part of history.
As a player, what was that like being an inaugural player and playing in the first ever season for Texas Wesleyan?
I mean, it's an honor and a privilege. I mean, I would have never expected I would have been in a situation like that, and that's just that's a blessing from God for me. So I take advantage of all of those opportunities and relish in that, and it's just a very proud moment.
What were some of your biggest accomplishments throughout your college time?
Well, I mean, I think one of the biggest ones was obviously like I worked hard, got the starting spot, and then I got benched. Not necessarily for play; it was just we had a D1 grad transfer come in, and so didn't get a chance to even compete for it because that's how small college football works. You get a big D1 guy coming in, and everyone assumes he's better. So, I mean, I got demoted there and went on scout team and had to go practice against my starting defense every single day at practice, and that made me a better quarterback for it. It helped project me to the NFL, and or at least be looked at to the NFL and arena football and all that other kind of stuff. The scout team players of the week that I would get there, and then moving on and four-time Sooner academic Sooner, excuse me, a four-time All Academic Sooner Athletic Conference team. A lot of words there, right? And just being able to then graduate with a very high GPA, got 2 degrees, bachelor's and a master's in business administration, but then even got a couple Player of the Week awards once I finally got that starting spot back, and then COVID kind of ended the college career. But yeah, I mean, a lot of those awards were just kind of a part of the whole journey in the process, right? I've fallen in love with the process of growing and improving. So everything from my 4.5 years at Texas Wesleyan, it might not have been the greatest looking on paper, but it was definitely key to my development into who I am today.
For you as a player, what was that transition like going from being a college football player to getting into professional football and going into the indoor football league?
It was actually it was like an easier translation to me, solely because of who then I got paired with. I was very fortunate to have some people reach out with Tom House Sports. Tom House is like the OG throwing guru, and he's coached guys like Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson, from the baseball side of it. But then he's also coached Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, and the list goes on and on and on of the NFL quarterbacks he works with. And so I was fortunate enough to very early on, when I was making that transition during the COVID pandemic or in the middle of the pandemic, with my college career coming to an end, I was able to make that transition. And I had Tom House there to kind of help continue to make my mechanics better, make my throwing better. But then because he's working with so many NFL quarterbacks, just to grow the connection base there. And I had a great agent at the time that she was able to pinpoint me to a couple teams, and landed in Tucson a year after that. Now, obviously, I played for a team before that, the Peach State Cats, and got some awards there and played well there too. But that whole team type attitude and mindset kind of pushed me forward to Tucson and the Indoor Football League. And then obviously that film and that experience led to another and led to another. And now we're going to Carolina.
Of course, what was that experience like going to Tucson Sugars Skulls and playing for them?
Yeah, again, another honor. It was one of those things where, like, the IFL is considered the NFL of arena football. Obviously, the Arena Football League's coming back this year, but I still would consider that the big time league. And so to be able to play for the highest professional league out there, and be able to say, hey, like, this is my NFL, like, this is the NFL of arena football, and being able to be a part of that team and play with a bunch of guys that played at like Florida or Michigan State or all these other big schools that I would have never played at my college, but then proving that I was just as good, if not better, than them on the football field. So it was definitely a great opportunity, and I thank the Sugar Skulls for the opportunity they gave me that year.
What was that feeling like getting to put on your first ever football professional jersey for the Tucson Sugar Skulls?
Yeah, again, it was one of those hard work things. So you put on the helmet, the yellow helmet with the cool Sugar Skull logo on it, and the nice black jersey or the red jersey, and the other kind of jerseys we had. We had a bunch of different uniform combos. I'd say those are some of the best ones I've worn so far, just because of all the different crazy combos we can put together. But But no, I mean, it was again honor, privilege because of the work into making the team and doing what I did in camp to be there and put on that jersey. So it was definitely proud moment.
What was that experience like for you playing indoor football versus playing, of course, in college, playing outdoor football in a traditional football?
Yeah, so here in America, we grow up watching the NFL and watching college football, and we understand that the NFL and college rule sets are a little different than each other, but it's overall still the same. And so a lot of people get that same kind of shock whenever they start watching Canadian football because there's an extra guy on the field, field's longer, field's wider, things like that. But with arena football, it's the exact same. Like it's not what we are accustomed to seeing. It's a shorter field. The walls are the sidelines, so you got to be a grown man to play this game. And I like to say it's like basketball and football had a baby, and that's what arena football is. It's so fast paced. The way you play quarterback in the game is completely different to how you play quarterback in the outdoor game because you have like no time to read defenses. It's you look at one area of the field and you just kind of read and react to how guys move. So it definitely has expanded my knowledge of football in general and is going to definitely help me as I continue to move up the ladder because it translates and helps different things in my game to grow and make me a better quarterback.
What was that experience like for you going to Wyoming Mustangs and getting to play with them?
Yeah, that was. I thought it was going to be a great time in my career, and then it ended up being a very challenging one. It was something that was very introspective to me because I had some challenges there that for one of the first times in a while, that I had to kind of overcome, and so definitely was something that I had to kind of look inward and find the motivation, kind of push through. But I met a bunch of great teammates there, and some of them will be teammates again here in Carolina this year. So it was yeah, again, yeah. Even though it was tough, it was challenging. It was one of those things that you look at it and say, "Hey, I'm learning something from it. I'm growing from that opportunity." So I'm thankful for it at the very end, and then to be able to then go right after that to the West Texas Warbirds in the same season, I think that helped me grow even more too. So just having those two different arena teams last year really helped me grow and continue to advance my career.
Of course, as you said that, was that like going from Wyoming to West Texas in the same year?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't straight back to back because obviously I was a free agent in between some time there, so I was back at work and back training with my coaches and things like that, wondering and if I was going to be playing football again this year. And then obviously doing the things that I needed to. Luckily, I had a couple CFL teams reach out and have me for private workouts, an NFL team with a private workout, things like that in between that time frame during that summer. But to be able to go back to West Texas and spend some time with them. And I mean, again, I keep saying honor and a privilege, but I think you'll get from me that I'm just kind of honored and privileged and blessed by God to be in the situations that I'm at. And so I look at all this and I say it was a challenge again to go in there mid-season and not know anybody on the team. And hey, you were signed on Tuesday and you got to play on Saturday and you don't even know the playbook. Like it's another type of challenge to help you grow. But again, it's helped me grow, and I feel like I'm a better quarterback because of that experience in West Texas too. So, honor and a privilege. It's something I'd say over and over and over again.
During that time, what was that experience like, as you said, going to get some workouts in the NFL and CFL and getting those scouts to look at you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thankful for Tom House to have some of those connections that kind of started getting the ball rolling for that. But it was my performances out on the field that really got their attention. The way I was able to throw the football with velocity and a tight spiral and looked like an NFL quarterback. It's definitely turned some eyes and gotten some looks at me, and then guys start to talk and. Before you know it, this team wants you. This team wants you. This team wants you. And then the only thing they now say is, before we sign you, we want to see you play more games or we want to see more film. And so, obviously, it's my goal now to continue to try to go get more film and get to the XFL with their private, like, because I had plenty of private workouts with the XFL and now they're the UFL. But obviously, it's competition. It's the highest level of professional football. I know I'm good enough to be there. I know I'm better than people that are there, but it's timing and opportunity, right? You got to have the right timing, right opportunity. And so I just keep playing football to keep giving myself film, make enough plays, and then obviously, hopefully, God opens up that door when the time's right.
Coming to Carolina Cobras, what was that experience like coming into the National Arena League?
So West Texas was in the National Arena League, so I kind of had a little bit of experience in the National Arena League. But obviously, upcoming this year, Carolina and the NAL in general is changing their rule set, so they're going more to the IFL rule set, which I had in Wyoming, and I had obviously with the Sugar Skulls. So it's a rule set that I actually know a little more better, or know a little better, excuse me. So it's one of those things that I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. A lot of the guys on the team are returning from last year. So it's going to be nice to see a bunch of guys that know Greensboro, North Carolina, and know how to be a Carolina Cobra. And I can just kind of seamlessly kind of fit in because over the last 3 years, I've tried to be the most consummate professional that I possibly can, and handle everything as professional as possible, even though there's things that obviously have happened that maybe not have looked like that, but I was doing the most professional approach way possible. So obviously those are growing moments, whatever. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to go to Carolina and ball with those boys, and I'm glad that I'm taking some teammates from previous stops with me too. It's gonna be a fun ride.
Of course, what was that feeling like when you signed that contract with the Carolina Cobras and you got to put on that uniform for the first time?
Well, I haven't put on the uniform for the first time yet, so we'll see. But like Coach Negron says, the head coach over at Carolina, he said it's go time. So as soon as I signed that contract, I was saying the same thing. It's go time. So meeting with him to go over the offense as much as humanly possible, and be ready for March 3rd when we go into training camp and go win that starting job and then go try to win the NAL MVP. Like those are my goals, and then those are my personal goals. But at the end of the day, like I could care less about the personal goals as long as we win a championship too. So that's the main goal. It's goal number one. So it's go time. Like everything I'm doing right now is obviously to get film to get to the NFL level and stay there. But at the same time, it's also like, let's go try to win this NAL championship. And so every day I'm out throwing, I'm working out and doing everything that I possibly can to be ready for NFL teams like the Chargers, who worked me out like a month and a half ago, something like that. Maybe it's closer to 2 months now, probably, but because time seems to be flying. But so you're ready for that, and even played in a game just on Saturday for a showcase game for some CFL guys. But yeah, it just always staying ready for that, but trying to grow and making sure you're ready for March 3rd and try to go lift a trophy June 15th or June 20th or whatever that championship game's scheduled. So that's the end goal. So that's what I'm working for.
What will that feeling feel like to get to put on that Carolina Cobra jersey and having your name on the back?
Awesome. Just as any other time I've put on a jersey with my name on the back. I mean, I represent my family. I mean, I represent my faith, even just with my last name on the back of a jersey. But at the same time, I represent myself on the back. I'm still representing the Cobras on the front. So I want to be the best Carolina Cobra as humanly possible. So I'm one of 25 on that team. So obviously the Arth on the back is going to be great, but on the front, we're still the Carolina Cobras. So it's go time. Let's go win that championship.
What will a typical game day look like for you as a Carolina Cobra?
Yeah, so every team's obviously going to have their different, like their different rituals, routines, their different game day stuff. But for me, I kind of go through my own routine that I follow. I'm not a very ritualistic person, so I don't believe in rituals because one thing that Tom says, or Tom House says, is if you have rituals, that means they control you as opposed to you controlling them. So I like to have habits and a process that I follow. And so obviously, throughout the week, I'll be watching a lot of film. I'll be visualizing myself, and the night before, I'll visualize myself playing the game before the game, and then obviously, then I go out and play the game, and then after, I'll replay the game to figure out what I did wrong or what I did well, and continue to grow and move forward and prepare for the next week. But when I wake up, it's obviously go get a nice nutritious breakfast. I'm a big watermelon and pineapple guy. So get some of that in with some nice with a couple of nice complex carbs like some oatmeal and stuff like that to be able to energize myself for the day, and then just go through some of my visualization pieces and go through the play call sheet and things like that to make sure I'm mentally ready for the game. And then once I get out on the field, start doing the famous Tom House warm up with the arms moving around like this with the weighted balls and go through the Dak dance because that's one of our drills too, where you're throwing your hip the way Dak does, and all those other kind of things. So I kind of have a process that I go through with that, and sometimes it looks pretty funny, and so some people might get some TV viewing pleasure off of that. So looking forward to giving you guys the content this year.
What are some of the similarities and differences between the NAL and the indoor football versus the CFL and NFL?
Yeah, so obviously the indoor football league is closer to the NAL than before. I mean, obviously the NAL is now switching to the same rule set of the IFL, so there's not. It's basically going to be the same. But originally, like the NAL was more of like an under center passing game where only one guy would be in what we call a high motion. So it's one guy like running 12 yards behind the field to the line of scrimmage before the snap. In the IFL, you have two guys running of your three receivers. So now we're going to have the same thing going on with the NAL, and now guys don't have to play both ways. You can only play one position as opposed to the NAL. Originally, you had to play both ways, other than the quarterback or maybe one guy on defense. So those are kind of the differences between the NAL and the IFL. But then, obviously, kind of like I said earlier, the difference between arena football and outdoor is the field's smaller. There's less guys on the field. The walls are the sideline as opposed to just a sideline you can go run out of bounds and be okay. The end zones, most of the end zones are curved. So your back pylon is curved there. So guys, you can throw it over there and the guy still jumps over and catches it. And as long as he comes up holding the ball, a ref might call that a catch. So it's very different compared to outdoor football, but there are things that translate. And the IFL game runs more outdoor style concepts. It's more of a shotgun based game. So you're definitely able to do more things that translate to get you to the UFL, to get you to the CFL, to get you to the NFL.
As a quarterback in the NAL, what is it like to be a quarterback in the NAL versus obviously playing in the NFL and CFL?
I mean, obviously in the NFL, everything's so fast paced, and so everything happens very, very fast. CFL's maybe a little different because obviously field's wider, field's longer, so you have a little bit more time. But in the arena leagues, regardless of the arena league you're in, everything is like one of the fastest paced things you've ever played. Like I said, it's like basketball and football having a baby. Like scores are 70 plus points per game with offenses. I mean, and it's typical to see a quarterback throw 4 or 5 touchdowns a game, and that just be an average game. So it's one of those things where I love it because you can score a lot, you can kind of pat the stats, but no, everything happens so quick, and you got to get the ball out of your hands very fast. In the NFL, you get 3 to 3.5 seconds at best. In arena leagues, you're lucky if you get 3. So you got to make just quick decisions fast. So your mental game has to be on point.
What does it mean to you to be a quarterback in the NAL?
Yeah, I mean, being a quarterback in general is a hard task and a hard responsibility, and I take that with the utmost respect as humanly possibly can. So, obviously, I got to be a leader on and off the field and confident in myself and my abilities. Because if I'm not confident in myself, why are the other 10 other guys in the huddle in the outdoor game or the other 7 guys in the huddle in the arena game going to be confident in me to go lead them down the field and go score points? So being a consummate professional, being a leader, and inspiring guys to go give it their all for that team, for myself, and for the other guys around them to try to go win games is definitely a pleasure and a responsibility that I take, and it's a big honor, whether it's arena football, the NFL, or anything lower or higher than that. Like I take it as a huge responsibility and honor to play the quarterback position and to withstand the pressure that this position takes. I'm not going to say it's one of the hardest positions in all of sports to play. I'll still say defensive back is probably harder to play because of how athletic you have to be, but quarterback's a very, very close second. And so I'll still say it's the hardest position in football.
Who are some of the teams that you will be playing in your conference?
Oh, I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the list, but I know the NAL has completely gone through a complete change. So I almost played for the North Texas Bulls at one point before, and then I played for the Peach State Cats instead. So I'll be kind of rematching against the North Texas Bulls, a team I could have almost played for. Another team I almost could have played for, the Idaho Horsemen. I play them week 1 in Idaho, so it'll be nice to play another team I could have played. And then some teams like the Colorado Spartans that have never been a team before, and they're coming up. They're fresh. They're brand new. And then some of the teams from the CIF and Wyoming's league that has left the CIF because the CIF has folded, to where I get to play guys like Omaha and Sioux City or Sioux Falls. I think it's Sioux City, and a couple of those other teams that have come over from that league as well. So I'll see some people or some teams or some jerseys that I've been accustomed to seeing in the past. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
What will a home game be like playing teams like Sioux City?
Oh, home games in Carolina are some of the best home games ever, from what I hear. I mean, the Snake Pit is rowdy. They love the football in Greensboro, and I'm just excited to get in the Snake Pit. I'm not a big fan of snakes in real life, but I'll be the biggest fan of the Snake Pit whenever we're playing football there. We're gonna have the Coliseum rocking and jumping, and we're gonna be scoring a lot of points and doing everything we can to go try to bring home a championship. So any team that comes into the Snake Pit, just be ready because you're about to get bitten.
What is it like getting to play with some of your teammates like Charles Brooks?
Oh, Charles is a funny dude. I mean, he's a really really good football player too. So, I mean, having guys like that on your team gives you more confidence to go out and play better too, because you got a guy like that playing well too, and guys like Adam Smith or Alex Coleman that I'll have to throw to. Raphael Turner is kind of a do-it-all Swiss Army knife on offense and defense. He plays D-line, linebacker. He can play running back, fullback. He can play offensive line. Like having guys like that, and just a bunch of these guys, like I could just rattle off every single name on the roster. Like there's a lot of veterans, Joe Powell and Ziegler and all these other guys that are coming back. Adam Smith, I know I've already said, and all these other guys that are going to be that were on the Cobras in years past that have been in championships, have lost the championship, and they're trying to get that championship ring. Having those guys on the team are huge resources. And we're trying to put together the dream team to go make a dream season. So it's going to be an honor and a privilege to play with these guys, and time to go show out.
As a player, what is that going to be like getting to play with teammates that have either been in the XFL, NFL, or even CFL and had that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be in places like there too, and so I kind of bring some experience from that. But guys that have been there even longer than I have, or have played in more games, or had more opportunities there than I have, those are huge resources to be able to say like, hey, how does this translate? How does where we're at right now translate to where you've been? And being able to take that and grow from it, and make myself better when I do have those opportunities. So and they're great resources. So guys like Joe Powell are going to be massive resources. I'm hoping I get a locker right next to him to talk about all this kind of stuff whenever camp and the season and all that rolls around.
Who are some of the influential people in your career that have shaped you into the player that you are today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a man of faith, so I start with my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and God for directing my paths and all this, opening up the door, closing the doors, and that's where it all begins. And so all these other people have just been placed in my life by God, and I've honestly honored and blessed to have those people in my life. But obviously, from the football perspective, guys like Tom House and Rob Ambrose and Cam Cameron, who coached with the LSU Tigers and in the NFL for a little bit. I mean, James Moreland, who was my first ever arena coach, and Coach Negron in Carolina. And I mean, coaches that I've had like Coach Dixie Wooten and Coach Chin in Tucson, and Coach Walker and Coach Gray in Gillette or Wyoming. And then other coaches I've had at Hub Camp like Norm Chow and other NFL coaches I've been around. All these kind of guys that have kind of given me a piece of information here or a piece of information there, or helped me grow or challenged me in different ways. And then obviously my college coaches. But then outside of football, like my old youth pastor and mentor Larry Lawrence, like I still have calls with him every single week, and he's a great benefit to me to be able to talk about life and being able to grow myself into the man that God desires me to be. and being able to have those influences of saying, hey, he's an older guy, he's done this, he's walked this life, he's been an athlete, he played basketball at Delta College or Delta State. And so being able to throw stuff off of him and say like, hey, here's what's going on in my journey, like, is there anything you can help me out there? And obviously my parents and everyone else in my personal circle that helps me continue to pursue this. It's a team effort. And so everybody that I even didn't name, there's just so many people that's been involved in all this, and teammates and everything. So I'm just honored and blessed to continue to have a bunch of great people in my life that help continue to push me towards this end goal.
As a quarterback, who are some of the quarterbacks that you look up to, whether they're in the NFL, XFL, or CFL?
Yeah, so I love watching a bunch of different guys. I'm very fortunate to have met guys like Tom Brady and Drew Brees, and been around those guys, or Patrick Mahomes. And so being able to like be up with those guys close and personally, and then even being friends with guys like Malik Willis, who's like my best friend in the entire world, who's playing with Tennessee in the NFL. And then being in workouts with Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields and guys like that, just to be able to look at multiple different guys and say like, what are they doing that I need to add to my game? And like, so, but I've narrowed it down to I always looked up to a guy like Drew Brees because I felt like I played the game and looked just like him. Like I felt like in terms of our body, how we play the game, our mind, and all that were very similar. And fortunately, I work with the same guy that Drew worked with. So, and Tom's told me he calls me kind of Drew Brees 2.0. So, or not necessarily 2.0, but the second coming of Brees. It's big shoes to fill and live up to, but I'm definitely willing to work for that. But I grew up a big Georgia fan, so Aaron Murray was another guy I really looked at as kind of like one of my idols, or one of my football idols. And so having those two guys as pillars for my football life, and saying, hey, I want to be like those because I feel a lot of similarities with them. I mean, seeing guys like Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan and Tom Brady do what they do, just being able to pick and pull from all these different guys and trying to make myself the best quarterback I can be, or so anybody I can that's playing good football or that I can go look at and watch, I'm definitely going to admire them and watch them. But obviously, Drew Brees and Aaron Murray would be my 1A and 1B.
What is it like getting to meet your fans and having them ask for your autographs and photos with you?
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome because you're actually doing something. So, I mean, every opportunity I have to give back to a fan, whether it's the fans that I'll have in the Snake Pit or fans I've had previously in other stops, I mean, as much as humanly possible, I'm going to stand there as long as possible, and sign everything or give everybody a photo and all that, because I want to make the fans happy, and I want to be able to give them a lifelong memory that they'll have, because I know the opportunities I've had with athletes. Excuse me, the opportunities I've had with athletes in the past that have kind of been a part of my journey, where I took a picture with this guy and I looked at this picture for like 6 years, and it motivated me and inspired me to work harder when maybe I didn't want to. And so to be able to give that to kids, or to be able to give back to people that need it and things like that, are definitely something that I love to do. So as much as I humanly possibly can, I'm trying to give back and give as much time as I can to those people.
As a player, what is it like seeing fans represent you and wearing your jersey, whether it's a Carolina Cobra jersey and having your name on the back, or just a regular Carolina Cobra jersey?
Yeah, so I mean, I've got a cool nickname of Arth Vader. So the Cobras, I think, at some point are going to have some nice Arth Vader t-shirts coming out on one of our Star Wars nights. So I'm going to love seeing everybody in those Arth Vader t-shirts whenever we get those out. And plus, I need one too, Coach Negron, if you're watching. So it'll be nice to see those. I mean, obviously, I got my own merch too. You can go find. It's great to see fans wear them and things like that. So I love people seeing the jerseys and all that. So it's just awesome.
What are some of your favorite memories and moments throughout your career so far?
Oh man, there's too many to count. I mean, my first ever professional touchdown pass is one. Just the opportunities in training camp to sit down with guys and learn from them, or just some of the funny moments we've had. And then obviously some of the wins and some of the losses. that have propelled to different things. And obviously, like the time that I was a starter in college and got demoted to scout team quarterback and then had to fight my way back up, like it rejuvenated my love for the game of football and really made me like truly work hard for something and it developed me. So there's so many different kind of memories that I have, and there's so many to count, and football's given me a lot. And so I'm just trying to chase this as long as I can and continue to make amazing memories that I can tell on and on and on for as long as I live.
What are some of your future plans with the Carolina Cobras moving forward?
Yeah, so obviously the main goal is to go win a championship. So I mean the plans go try to win a team or a team MVP because obviously we're winning the championship. I'd love to win a personal MVP, lead the league in stats and passing stats, and then obviously get to the UFL, CFL, or NFL this fall. So that's obviously the 2024 plan. Obviously, there's other outdoor leagues and teams that I'm talking to and things too. So obviously, you do the best you can to give Carolina everything that you possibly can. Let's go win a championship. And as soon as we go kiss that trophy, I'm telling Coach Negron bye, and I'll give you a ticket to the next stop. So.
What advice would you give those people in college looking to play on the NCAA level?
Yeah, so any high school guy or even smaller college guys that are trying to get to the NCAA level, I just say focus on academics and focus on your craft. I coach a lot of like baseball and football players, and then I even substitute teach as a part time job. So I'm around high schoolers that are trying to go play at different levels and things like that. And you'd be surprised how many guys think that just talent alone is going to get them there. They're not necessarily going to get the look if their grades aren't there because they still got to get into school. So focus on the controllables, do the things that you can control. And that includes watching more film, getting extra work in, even when you don't want to, having motivation to work harder, keeping your grades good, like doing everything, being a model citizen, carrying yourself with character, just doing those things and doing all the little things right and just trying to stack bricks each and every day to build something that would create value to a college coach, because at the end of the day life's all about creating value for somebody else. So I mean, you've got me on the podcast because you see there's value in having me on the podcast, and it's the same way with being college, being recruited to a college or being signed to a professional contract. You have to provide value to somebody to be wanted. So it's one of those things where do as much as you can to create as much value for a coach to where they can't say no.
What advice would you give those college football players out there looking to play on the next level, whether it's the NFL, CFL, the NAL, or even overseas and playing?
Yeah, a lot of those things carry over. Obviously, the academic side of it doesn't necessarily carry over as much because obviously you don't have to be a student anymore to go play professional football. But that stuff still counts because professional scouts will go talk to your elementary school to figure out how you were when you were a kid. So, for those of you that are elementary schoolers watching this, behave because NFL scouts will come and ask your elementary teacher whenever you're being drafted into the NFL how you acted as a like 6-year old. But no, I mean, hard work, never stop working, fall in love with the process, and understand that everything is timing and opportunity. There's a lot of great guys like myself that have been a free agent a little too long, not because we weren't good enough, but because the timing and opportunity wasn't there. So don't be afraid to reach out to anybody possible. Never leave a stone unturned. I mean, market yourself, be your own best marketer. I've had my share of agents. I've actually had more success without agents in terms of finding teams and things like that. So don't necessarily get trapped into the you have to have an agent because you can do a lot of it yourself, especially if you market yourself and carry yourself the right way. And then obviously at some point you will need an agent when you get to the NFL and all that. But I mean, you can do as many arena tryouts and CFL tryouts and XFL tryouts and all this other kind of stuff that you possibly can to get your name out there and network with people. Like it's sometimes not always what you know or how good you are. It's also who you know in business sometimes for you to get a job too. So network and market yourself the best way you possibly can, and that'll go far.
What advice would you give those football players out there that are transitioning from playing traditional football outdoors to going indoors and playing?
Learn the nuances of the game, and in a way fall in love with the process of learning a new game of football. I've heard it I've heard it so many times where there's guys like Terrell Owens or Antonio Brown that are these great NFL wide receivers or these great NFL players that come to arena football and think they're just going to dominate because they're sub tier athletes or whatever, that are playing, and then they get locked up and they have 0 catches for 0 yards over 4 quarters. The game's completely different. Just because you're a good player in indoor doesn't mean you're going to be a good player outside, or just because you're a good player outside doesn't mean you're going to be a good player indoors. And so I'm just very fortunate to kind of be similar to a Kurt Warner, where the arena game has kind of continued to elevate my outdoor game, and has made me better in the outdoor. So but the biggest thing is just be malleable, and be coachable, and try to learn this game as best as you possibly can. I know it fairly well now because of playing in it for 3 years in 3 different leagues, 3 different rule sets over 3 years. But at the same time, there's always things that I need to continue to learn and continue to grow with and be better with. So it's a never stop learning process. And I encourage anybody that wants to go play arena football, go to tryouts and see how you fit, and don't be afraid to learn and make mistakes.
What advice would you give those rookies entering their first year of arena football?
Again, fall in love with the process. There's a lot of arena football is a very, very sticky world. And it's a very, very cruel business. And I've been on some bad ends of it. So be prepared for not a lot of money. Be prepared for a lot of turmoil at times, and just take advantage of your opportunity. This is your opportunity to try to go get film, to continue to rise up and move to the next level. So do everything you possibly can to get on the field, stay on the field, and make plays. And when you learn the nuances of the game and the speed of the game, things will start playing and flowing naturally, and you'll be able to play your best.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram on JArthQB11, so JARTHQB11. You can find me on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it these days at Justin Arth QB. That's also my same handle over on Twitter. I make some content over there with a bunch of different YouTube shorts, things like that. At JArthQB11 on TikTok, got 11,000 over there, and we're continuing to try to grow that. And then on Facebook, you can find my athlete page at Justin Arth QB or at Justin Arth as well. It's one of those two, but you'll see my neon or my fluoro yellow or fluoro green logo with this logo on it, and you can go follow me over there too. So those are all my social medias. And heck, you can even go find me on LinkedIn too, just searching my name, Justin Arth, Arth. So got all the socials over there. And I mean, I'm a coach too. So if any of you aspiring quarterbacks out there want quarterback training, I work with Tom House and all that, and I can pass on that knowledge to you for a fee as well. So you can definitely hit me up over at a11performance.com for that as well.
Thank you again, Justin Arth, for your interview, and best luck in your future as a Carolina Cobra.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for having me on.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon. You can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Justin Arth, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.